Peace be upon you. Oh, okay. It just slipped. Interesting. The eye in reverse, Four of Swords, extra joker. The Three in reverse, Three of Wands. Let me push it a bit so that you get to see it. Okay. We're gonna stick with 4. Ten of Cups, the bouquet. Second week. Six of Swords in reverse. Mice. Loss. Crossroads. Okay. And the Fox, Ace of Cups in reverse. King of Cups in reverse, Ace of Cups in reverse, going backwards. The Tree, which sometimes has to do with family, genealogy, long-term projects, health, of course, prosperity, abundance, intake of any sort, but also nurturing, work. In this case, it's definitely family matters, or whether that's spiritual or otherwise, spiritual progress. Fertile ground, opportunities, stability, and being on the path, generally speaking, connected with your ancestors, continuing the bloodline, family, children, fertility, etc. Life, knowledge. And 4 is a number of stability, with the crossroads here. Wands. Water, fire, okay. This must be air here. And fulfillment of highest hopes, wishes, and desires. Except not the ones you expected. What you were wanting or pursuing or felt you were in need of seems to have been denied to you. You were unable to see why, or why you couldn't have it, or what happened, and no clarity, no understanding, no clear connection to, as in between needs, your genuine needs, those of your heart, of your very spirit, and related to your purpose, of course, and what you're here to do currently, and actual needs, in this case, emotional or highest hopes, fulfillment, unexpected, completely unrelated to what you're currently pursuing, yet somehow it still brings joy, and you perceive it as some form of a miracle and a blessing, and like a gift that you received. And again, it had nothing to do with your ability to see, to know with foresight, right? No matter how much you pursued for that incredible answer, key, clarity, knowledge, wisdom, experience, it was basically something that was out of your hands. It was in God's hands, and it was already granted to you. Yet you're struggling to move away from things that no longer benefit you, never have, or they're not simply for you. What is reserved for you is beyond your wildest expectations, literally. There was a reason why you were never really in a place where you could make the choices that you thought you were supposed to. None of them were actually your options. May have been someone else's. Sometimes it may have to do with you thinking that you gotta experience something because someone else has it. It wasn't true. You didn't. You didn't have to have that. You didn't have to choose in between this or that, or no. You were supposed to be, last generation energy. Challenge something. The outcast, the black sheep, etc., the waymaker, the oath breaker, fool and magician in one, kind of like a jester energy, challenging status quo, traditions, or manner of doing things, etc. Worldview, belief systems, etc. Yep, last generation. This is someone that is either a millennial, 40 to 45, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, yes. Four, 3, 1, 4. Okay. Oh, 4. The knowledge, the gift, the blessing. You're going to meet someone that you're going to be absolutely in awe of. I'm just going to keep it to these 2 lines. Spiritual love is nothing how you've envisioned it. You had a vision or an ideal of the perfect love that, yes, and it's not aimed at something practical nor based on physical attraction or interest of any sort. And no, you aimed at something that was idealistic and not necessarily wrong per se, but it was nothing like what you were about to experience. So that you can experience the actual God's presence and miracle and intelligent design and so on. You can witness it, experience it in such a manner that for you it's going to be like a miracle. I had nothing to do with this, so if somebody explain it, it can't be explained rationally. There's no amount of strategy, there's no amount of compromise, there's no amount of effort and sacrifice that will grant you something that is not meant for you, at least not when you're not ready for it. Because everybody gets everything, not at the same time. There's no amount of astuteness, cleverness, and determination or resilience or that can get you something or someone, a perfect, ideal relationship, if you're not meant to have it. Healing family, trauma here in karma. We always say that in order to achieve spiritual progress, the ladder goes upwards, but you go in the underworld, let's call it, right? Imagine as if we are Lord of the Rings, we are in the Middle Earth, right? And you need to go below in order to conquer, because there are 2 trees, right? We came down on the tree of knowledge. We go back on the tree of life. Life is to be found in the depths of darkness, in death. Letting go, in loss, in failure. Whatever you lose in this world, you're conquering or paying for something in the next, let's call it, which is initially, the original, right? The elevated. And so we're in a world that is a corrupt version of an ideal one, right? But imagine as if you're standing in the middle and you get a grasp on both the upper and the lower, and you always need to make a choice. So hence why I say the channel has to be vertical. And the cross represents the parallel line that we experience as we progress through life. Time, if you want, to earth, and so on. Directionality, poles, elements, cross. But the real progress, you go below, as in you descend, you explore, you integrate the shadow, and you conquer, therefore, a virtue above. Every time you face, for example, your tendency towards lying, and you work on that aspect, you conquer the quality of honesty. You're paying for something, right? So yeah, it's not cheap. And vice versa. If you betray yourself and choose to deceive, you're paying for whatever you think you're getting for that deceit, whether a relationship, whether it's, peace, right, love, whatever. Harmony, you're gonna pay with, a virtue. And constantly betraying yourself, separate yourself, from your actual self anchored above. Therefore, you're gonna experience that separation as darkness, pain, confusion, lack of clarity. You're separated from source, from the creator. And every so-called sin or transgression separates you even further. What can make a difference? Intention. If you choose to transgress for someone else's sake, hence in love and war, right? That actually grants you more adhesion, more unity with both the sparks, more purpose, right? And the source. But anything you do for yourself, even for in and under the guises of the best of virtues and qualities, such as, but I love the person, but I'm doing this for the highest good, but in reality you're doing for any self, and you're willing to transgress in order to achieve it, it's all based on the nature of your heart. You have to be honest with yourself. Where does egoism lie behind your highest, most beautiful actions, and vice versa? You have to entertain the possibility. Sometimes you may be called to do things that are perceived as negative, right? For the highest good, to shatter some illusion, some deception, to unmask some corruption and so on, right? Set something straight. And yeah, it's that line in the sand. Limitation. It's a force of limitation. I mean, nobody loves someone who sets some boundaries, for example, right? Or says you shall not cross this line. But why did he do it? To set something straight, to restore a truth. And he stood for a principle, not for a person, not for Maria per se, but rather for a principle. You are not blameless yourselves, so you cannot criticize her. The double standard, right? So until you conquer the virtue of truth, you cannot complain about somebody lying to you. But once you do conquer it, you have to stand for it and use it no matter what. Courage, whatever virtue you conquer, you can use it as a tool, as an extension of you in some sense, something you're tapped into. It's a force. See it as an archangelic force specifically associated with that specific quality that's working through you. You're tapped into something. So you're absolutely undefeatable in that sense. Because it's not you, see, tapped into that. You channel truth into the world. There's nothing that can ever neither terrify or distract you or intimidate you or corrupt you. But before you can work with that energy, you have to earn it. And how do you pay for it? You go in the underworld. You go do the shadow work. You reveal the subconscious. Spiritual love and falsehood. We spoke of it, right? Falsehood. It's what keeps you stuck. You're seeing it. You realize that you're not really dealing with people, rather more with energy. And that should apply to you as well. Whenever you think, oh, I was a liar, and your shadow will prevent you from trying to overcome that, correct or be corrected in that sense, therefore conquer the opposite of truthfulness and start practicing it, because it's going to be expensive, of course. It's going to shadow your reality, call for its own sacrifice, and so on. It's going to be tested. Your shadow will use it in a sense to try and define you based on it. So you may no longer lie to others, but you will be led into lying to yourself. Oh, I'm not worth it. Oh, I have no purpose here. Or everybody hates me. Or, right? All of those. So it doesn't matter whether you criticize others or yourself. If you do so with a purpose, what's the purpose? To be corrected, right? But in order to correct something, you need to do the opposite of what you were doing, right? To alchemize and balance it out. And the shadow will make sure to keep you in those gray areas, whereas, you're not able to make any choices whatsoever. Even when those choices are quite obvious, as in, you may experience it as if, but I have no choice, right? As if it's forcefully imposed upon you. Example, Hashem forbid, your house crumbles, right? You gotta find another one. If you were up to you to choose, and that's what you were meant to be experiencing in order for you to be led to a different place and meet certain people with whom you're supposed to do some other work and so on, to channel more light into the world, you would hesitate. You'd find any possible excuse not to do so, right? Or the ego would push you into trying to achieve a house that is not for you. You're going somewhere on your own. I don't think you're going to be alone there. Crossroads, fork in the road, the railroad. A long journey. A robbery. So what did your shadow steal from you? Your youth. Your joyfulness. And it's still there. Still buried and hidden. Deep trauma. Secrets. Inability to see the truth. Or rather act according to the truth that you're able to sense when uncovering the seed, because there's a seed within you. You're not going to be able to manifest truth for people as long as you lie to yourself or others. You're lying about something constantly. 9 of Pentacles. You're not going to heal. You're not acting from the heart. Your shadow is stronger than you think. Powerful spirits, strong shadows to match it. 10 of Wands in reverse. You've escaped some fatality here. But whatever you think you were building, you're realizing you have to accept that no, you weren't. You have to restore yourself to a childlike state. Friendly disposition and gentleness. You're going to connect with someone. Mother instinct as well. Or rather maternal, loving, nurturing. Also very practical and down to earth. Marriage, family and children are possible for you. Even for those who feel that they've lost all hope. But you have to be open that it will happen in a manner, and it's not going to be the lover dude here. 5 of Cups, the romantical, the fantasy dude. No. 5 of Wands in reverse, no conflict, but at the same time, inability to rejoice for the smallest things, lack of gratitude. That hasn't changed, right? You don't have gratitude. New home, new location, moving, new people, someone with strong fire in their chart. So, brothers, you have a counterpart you need to go to. Sisters, you may be called at least to a journey which seems to be rather more as a holiday for you, that later on will transform into a long-term change in your residence, in your just worldview. It's some form of a rebirth, starting a new chapter, as if you were born again, literally, as in everything else seems to all of a sudden make sense and why it needed to lead you to that point and so on. Powerful experience, You are going to be called by then, as in there's one condition here. There's a trick. Yeah, there always is. You got to push a button. That button says that no matter what happens from now on, you will no longer lie. It doesn't matter how dysfunctional you may appear, how problematic, you will not lie. You are asked to start practicing that. And yes, it's gonna, but this is the perfect timing, because you're no longer thinking in long-term plans, how this is gonna affect whatever thing you think you're building for yourself here, career, whatever. It doesn't matter now. You can start practicing more truthfulness. So next time you meet someone, rather than opening your mouth and start spewing a lot of bullshit, how about you don't zip it? Listen, observe, make it about the other person, get to know them. Be excited about actually meeting someone new. Because if that someone new is reflecting yet some shadow work to do within you, or it may be completely irrelevant to you because they're not someone who's meant to be in your life, you're going to be able to, in presence and in that state of receptiveness, objectively see the seed long before they open their mouth to say it. You cannot defeat the enemy without, you have to defeat it within. So until you make that covenant to say no matter what, truth is truth. Yes, there will be exception, of course. But generally speaking, right, truth is truth. Exceptions are exceptional, so let's go with that. But generally speaking, you should be able to speak the truth, right? That will guarantee you that you will see deception. You will be able to navigate a lot more easier for reality. And I know the shadow will tell you, but there will be consequences. Oh, well, heck they will, yes, but they'll all be worth it. Because who wants to live a lie? You don't, because look at what it took from you. Look at the price you've paid for it. Was it worth it? So this is a stage, by the way. We're going to move to a next one, and the next one, and the next one. When you speak truthfully, or not at all. Oh, you better have a darn good reason for lying, and it shouldn't have anything to do with your self-preservation. That is in God's hands, not yours. You work with what is in your hands, what God put in your hands, invested in you. Courage, beloved. Brothers, you're finding quite a fiery one here. Very creative, very passionate, intense, courageous, noble, and wise. Has superpowers. Oh yes, she does. Fire and water, very balanced. She's balanced. Occult knowledge, higher wisdom, higher understanding, spiritual advancement, very advanced. But she uses it intently, purposely. She uses it. Her own fires do not use her. That's where power resides. In you using, getting to learn and practice and apply what you can tap into, what you've been granted, whether it's intellect, health, time, whatever. You use it. Otherwise, he will use you. Whatever you don't use works against you. A feminine that doesn't really control her passion, expressed outwardly here, right? Her inner fire, which can also purify, by the way. She will use it to burn there when necessary. Will turn into her opposite. Her opposite is angry, bitter, dangerous, irresponsible, reckless, unloving, selfish, egotistical. The man-eater energy, scarlet lady energy, or witch energy, the unloving, the one that destroys the masculine wherever she uses, just chews him and spits him out, commands, tyrant, demanding, entitled, uses her sexuality to control and dominate. raises herself above others, egotistical, narcissistic, even sociopathic, if she has higher intellect as well. She uses all her tools, but for all the wrong reasons, right? The Karen spirit, the whore of Babel spirit, the lady in red spirit, Lilith spirit. But she's upright. She can use that wand. A priestess of fire, one of my sisters. But our color is golden. And that's actually exactly what she is, a golden one. A faithful one. Sunflower, rightly. So she serves the one God. She channels and alchemizes solar force into the world, the creative. She births life, hope. She inspires, she heals. She's also the healer. The healer through fire is the most painful, yet without it we cannot progress, because through her rebirth is achieved. At the last stage of fire, which aims towards the heavens, right? So phoenix energy, the dragoness. She's the golden, the precursor to the white dragon. Ah, yes. She follows no one's rules, I guess. Just only Father's. Powerful feminine you got here. Sacred feminine in fire mode. She's the one who inspires the masculine, fuels and motivates them, heals him, restores him, gives him the necessary tools and strength, alchemizes and so on. Motivates the masculine. They do the hands down work, right? They got the skills. And you have a feminine like this, I would too. I would build a better world. No worries. Hierophant in reverse. There are lots of false prophets roaming around. And this is the end of them. There's the rise of the feminine, not in the manner that they're trying to push it into the world, though. Because you see, she's active, yes, energy-wise, but she's not out there. She's not going to interfere with the builders, the protectors, and the providers. They work together, you see. These coins are made with fire. Fire is necessary. It's the creative process. It's the sexual alchemized fire, the creative force. And that's what the masculine taps into. If the feminine is unbalanced, he cannot work. He will not be able to work, to participate anymore. And she would have nowhere or no purpose for her existence either. What would be her role then if she's not participating in the building and correction of the world? Left and right. Power couple in the making, and again, this tendency towards deceit. Recognize energies coming towards you with deceit and choose no longer to use it yourself. Raise it to the conscience level, observe it, see it, correct it there where possible, otherwise you will stand corrected in other ways. Many blessings. Wisdom is not something you learn, it is something you become. A known Indian proverb. And the reminder is, I become wisdom. Geminic, Leonic, Arianic energy in a feminine chart. Brothers have some water, earth, and air. I am sufficient. I am meant to succeed. Yes, the shadow has convinced many of you that you're not worth anything, right? That you failed. No, you were paying for something. You're about to realize what that was. The whole existence of my soul depends on the certitude that it is enough. By being whole, complete, nothing exists outside of it. The world is your personal projection, not the other way around. It just smacks you right back, either like a boomerang or a mirror, basically. Unless, again, you intentionally choose to do God's will and accept your own purpose, whatever that may be, and say, His will be done, not mine. And send me, Father, I'm ready. Then you'll be called to participate. So you're out of that dichotomy between fear and desire, and you just do God's will. You just are, whatever you're called to at any given time. The feminine, Gaia, 28, that 10 of Cups, beautiful. A truly happy sense of belonging and family and healing. The frequency of hope, generally speaking, and faith. Frequency of Gaia reminds us that we are infinitely connected to one another, just as we are to our Great Mother and to the universe that birthed us all. You will recognize that divine feminine, regardless of what kind of a queen and what her role may be, what her main abilities are, and so on. You will recognize these kinds of feminines based on the nature of their heart, energy-wise, energy. Not amidst the words, not amidst the worldly appearance or senses, or right. Within the transcendental realm of your soul, there are endless universes, each inconceivably vast and at the same time inconceivably small, macro, micro, right? Even in the tiniest particle of subatomic matter, there is endless expansion. Creation is a cosmic motion picture in which you are both director and actor. Look within and express outwardly the endless waves of love within you. May your love embrace the earth and fill all creation. You don't get to determine what that means, though. Sometimes love may mean you needing to not do what you would choose to do, but rather what is demanded or required of you to do for the highest good. Sometimes you need to correct someone, sometimes. And it starts with yourself. Can you tame whatever, let's say, spirit or energies or thought forms or emotions constantly seek to work through you? You start with acknowledging them, observing them as something outside or separate from you, right? That you can always tap into or disconnect from. Learn to use if you embrace them as your own. If you choose, it's as if you had a set of tools, right? And you choose each of them based on what you're trying to achieve. You take those tools out. Each of you have your own set. As for a pursuit of knowledge, you can see it as food, any sort of intake. That feminine is balanced. She gives. Everything she receives is for the purpose of giving, hence why she has that extension of the wand. And it's in her left hand, by the way, the left hand, while the masculine works with the right. So it's what I was saying. Anyway, that phone, I'm telling you, that battery is constant. Sorry. So, what's the purpose of your intake? Are you just responding to an instinct or hunger instinct? Fine, but do you really listen to it? Or then you get overtaken by taste, the memory of a smell, something you saw on television? Or do you actually listen to your body? Sometimes it's as simple as accepting that reality will provide what you need at the time. If not, You gotta be willing to take it upon you to find something else. If you only have bread in your house and you're hungry, that's what you're gonna eat. Unless you have a better idea. And that's when you're called to change. To some new adventure. Certain things are needs for a reason. But desires, you can always use them rather than them using you. Those are up for debate. Test the spirit, right? Those are the trickiest. So, something that you embrace as to eat and consume as a desire that came to you from an external source and so on, that asks for a price that you're not or choosing to ignore even when aware of it. For example, high cholesterol, heart disease, and so on, right? Even when you do know the price for it. You see, when you do something right, you know from the get-go what you're about to pay for it. When you're straying away, you never know what you're going to pay. You're only going to be promised rewards. That's not how light or God works. It's the opposite. You choose to eat something because it tastes or smells good, or because it's just in fashion and it's proposed as normal. Even though you're quite aware of the fact that you have no control over the price you're going to pay for it. Or you choose to work with what you've got and shift your perspective in gratitude and to what you're actually consuming, and break it back down to give us, Father, our daily bread. Oh, I have bread. Isn't that amazing? Exactly what I need. Gratitude shifts perspective and keeps you safe from harm. Then again, not much have we ever achieved in safety, because even on that we have been played. We constantly betray ourselves and embrace something as safety. It's safe because I know it. So stagnancy, attachment, delusion, falsehood, deception, refusal to participate, inability to use one's skills, therefore the separation from light occurs precisely in that state of false comfort. We pursued material wealth. It gave us comfort. It's so tangible. How could it be wrong? Who said it is? It could be. It's not intrinsically wrong. It is wrong when you're willing to risk paying with your very existence for things that you're not even going to be able to really hold on to. Or rather, they're not going to stick onto you. You see, things have no loyalties, no vows, no covenants, no nothing. They're just manifested expressions of our own desires, which shouldn't be ours to begin with. Desires are impersonal. People just randomly are visited by them, like by a thought, by a potential, by an option, or someone else's choices, or something random in the street, and they're constantly faced with the reality of choice. You have to be able to distinguish in between desires, which yes, present potential, but they always betray you when it comes to the price that you're going to pay. But did the desires or the devil cheat on you? Or did you do it to yourself? So you're better off knowing beforehand what you're about to pay for. And why. What and how much. Rather than being lured with promises of great achievement, eternal life, and so on. In this realm. And presented with the bill later. So, welcome. Humanity has been presented with its bill, so that we learn from it. Hopefully we guide and protect the new generation, so they will know not to make our mistakes ever again. The material should be an extension, an expression, a clear expression of our spiritual degrees, or our intentions and the natures of our heart. And that they actually are. The world is filthy and darkened, right? We turned it slowly but surely. We messed up the balance. Our leaders reflect clearly our intentions, our egoism, our tyrannical tendencies, and everything that we're willing to do for the illusion of power. Anything. And we're convinced that we are like unto the Most High. How? By challenging Him? Just because we could? Because He could have determined from the get-go that none of us gets the chance, or gets the option to challenge Him and say no. But how else could we actually get to say, hey, I did it my way? That's love. Anything else is our choice. So there are things that you shouldn't be able to feel like you get the choice to deny, refute, or ignore. Those things are your very needs, your very nature, your calling, your instincts. That's who you are. You can be safe with those no matter what. At least you have fulfilled your purpose. That's progress. Then you walk with God. But anything else that is you feel as unnatural to you, it's a state that you can aim towards, but you should ask yourself why. Is it something you want to become? Is it something? As for saying, well, what they said, what they promised, it's irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant. You cannot blame the devil. Look at the darkness within you. Lie doesn't work with honest people. Deceptions don't work with the honest. How they may approach it, yeah, because they choose not to respond, or sometimes you may get a surprise and, be smacked right back with it. Either way, that's on them. But ultimately, you cannot lie to the honest. So that's our problem. Why it's so easy to lie to one another constantly. Everybody has chosen deception. Mama. Oh, no, not to the fire. No. So that's a message from her. Anyway, enough blabber. I'm going full silence. Eternally grateful for all of you. May you all be healed, sealed, guided, and protected on your path. Shalom. Let me go before I put my cat on fire. Well, she sets herself on fire. Yes. She is an air sign. Speaking of. So she seeks for the fire, right? Yes.